Hi, and welcome to 9 to 42, the podcast from the team at the Guitar Show UK. Join us for interviews, updates and chat with artists, influencers and those that manufacture the gear that we love. Hello and welcome to 9 to 42, the podcast from the guys behind the Guitar Show UK. As per normal, my co-host, Jace Hunt, is on screen in front of me. How are you, Jace?
I'm all right, Ant. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. We were just saying it's been a while since we did one of these because we ended up doing a double whammy interview with Chris of Rift, and consequently it's been 3 weeks, I think, since we...
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks since we've actually done this.
Yeah, I've been missing it, mate.
Oh, I've been missing you too.
Oh, bless you, bless you. And we're also sat with tonight's guest, which is, for me, is a great blast from the past because this is a fella that I used to work with in a music store in Leeds about 20 years ago, I'm reckoning. So, welcome, Mark Abrahams. How are you, Mark?
Hey, very good, thanks. Nice to be with you.
Oh, yes, lovely
nice
to have you here. Yeah, nice to see you as well.
It's nice to see anyone at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair. That's actually fair. That's actually fair. Now, this isn't just a bit of us just reminiscing, though there will be a bit of that as well. But Mark has had a varied career, and currently you're playing guitar in Wishbone Ash, aren't you?
I am, Wishbone Ash.
Which is weird, bearing in mind we used to just stand behind a counter in a music store in Leeds, not knowing where the future was going to take either of us, I guess.
Well, it's very true. It's also weird for me because I grew up with Wishbone Ash. Wishbone Ash was the reason I learnt to play guitar in the first place, which led me to work in the music stores and then eventually join the band, which is the weirdest thing, really, but the most amazing thing too. It's
oh my God, you're like the Yorkshire version of Ripper Owens, aren't you? Did you see that? The guy that Ripper Owens, he joined Judas Priest. He was in a Judas Priest tribute act and then ended up as the lead singer of Judas Priest when Rob Halford left.
Right, cool. Yeah, I guess so.
So if we take you all the way back, then I mean, you just said then you grew up listening to Wishbone Ash, but that wasn't the only influence, was it? I mean, I seem to recall you were a big Knopfler fan as well.
My two bands were Dire Straits and Wishbone Ash from being 8-9 years old, even before I picked a guitar up, you know. And I used to, well, I still do, but I used to sit and totally watch, like Mark Knopfler, you watch his hands and like he's not moving them, but there's got all these notes coming out, and it still fascinates me now, you know. Nobody can make a guitar sound like that. I
pored over that Alchemy video. I mean, literally. I mean, it's embarrassing as a child in his teens that the only video I think I got so it didn't work anymore with the pause button was a Mark Knopfler video.
Right.
That's so wrong as a teenage boy.
I know. But yeah, you're right. How did he make a guitar sound like that with what seemed like so little movement of his hands?
Effortless, man. Effortless.
And bizarre that, I mean, that's a band that theoretically shouldn't have existed because the point of music they came through, you know, everything's punk and what have you. And you've got
I guess it was all punk, yeah. And then you get this guy with the looks a little bit different. He's got the gritted guitar sound, the very clean guitar sound, actually, the first album especially. And yeah, just a unique guy. I guess that's why he got where he got, you know, with the excellent songs.
So how did that end up being part of your world? Because somebody must have introduced you to that. I mean, you know, we were talking about this before. You were born in 1978, so their first album comes out. You're 3.
78, yeah.
Yeah. You know, so who introduces you to that?
So I was fascinated by guitar well before I even got a guitar when I was 7 or 8 years old. And my dad always used to say to me, if you can play like this guy, Mark Knopfler, or the other one was Wishbone Ash. So I was absolutely fascinated with, until I was probably 13, they were the only guitarists that existed, you know. And I remember my dad taking me to see Dire Straits when I was 11 on every street tour. I had to have a red Strat, of course. Eventually, that is. I never, you know, it took me a while to get the Strat, but yeah, it was just not so much. I didn't really want to play anything exactly like he did. I was more interested in getting the guitar to sound like he did. That was the thing. That was the big thing for me. And I'd spend hours trying to learn the little licks in Sultans of Swing, and then trying to make the riff to Money for Nothing sound like it did on Brothers in Arms, which is probably impossible, But spent many hours.
Well, it's funny because I remember you. One of the things about working in a music store is that there are plenty of Tuesdays at 4:00 where nothing's going on, and you end up, pulling a few guitars off the wall and what have you. And I always remember listening to you playing Knopfler, thinking, that's as close as I've heard anybody sound like Knopfler. But I mean, at that point in time, you're like, what? 17, 18, whatever. What age were you when you started at Academy?
I was trying to remember that earlier. I can't think. It must have been, I guess I was probably 18, 19, something like that.
Because you must have been in your early 20s. I think I joined Academy in 2000. So you must have been, you're 22
that sounds
at that
right.
point.
Yeah, it's probably right, yeah.
And I don't remember, that's the point, because you'd got long hair, and then you picked a Strat up and you just sounded like nothing. It was like somehow it all didn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Brilliant.
But so that explains the Knopfler thing. But then the Wishbone Ash is even weirder, because that's an even...
Well, Wishbone Ash have been going for 50 years.
Yeah.
We should be on the 50th anniversary tour right now, actually. But yeah, again, just like Knopfler and Dire Straits, it was a sound that was so different to me, because I didn't understand why at the time, but it's the two lead guitars playing together in harmony. I didn't understand that when I was 9 years old, but I just knew it sounded cool, sounded different, and I liked it,
Yeah.
And that's stuck with me all this time, and it's probably the thing that fascinates me most about electric guitar still.
Yeah. So you, around that time, and certainly the time that I was working with you at Academy of Sound, you were playing in a covers band, weren't you? You were playing in a band. Was it Scooby?
Scooby. I played with Scooby. That was a band that we started at school.
Right.
When I must have been 13 when we started Scooby. And they only just finished, actually, recently, with none of the original members. Yeah, it were like different guys, Scooby. Well, great. And we were really busy as a young covers band. We'd play 3 times a week, covering nothing by Dire Straits or Wishbone Ash, mainly more popular rock bands that I would never really into, to be honest. But it was cool. We did it. We played things like Ugly Kid Joe, Stiltskin. Do you remember the Stiltskin song?
Yeah, Inside.
Yeah. And it was all things like, we did some more classic. We did like David Bowie and things like that.
Yeah.
But kind of classic rock, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were for 15, 16-year-olds, we were out and we were doing 3 nights a week, and we were earning money.
Well, I remember seeing you. I think Alice and I came to see you in York, and that had been the early 2000s. I'm trying to remember what the venue was in York.
Yeah, you did, actually. And in Skipton. Did you come to Skipton?
Yeah.
Do you remember that little pub near the river?
Yeah.
I remember that.
But I mean, the thing that, and I guess it's what every cover band strives for. But you really did sound like the records you were covering.
Wow.
And that's a big, because you did Foo Fighters and all manner of things as well.
That's right,
I mean, you mixed it up. It was, and bits of Green Day and what have you. But you really, as a band, really sounded like. And I think that probably, I guess to me talks to how you used to nail sounds. You would nail a style and a sound so that you actually did sound like the artist.
Well, I always had this thing, I still have. If I'm learning a song now, whether it's a Wishbone song that we're going to put in the set for a tour, or the Green Day song, or Sweet Child of Mine, whatever it might have been, I'd try and get the sound right. I'd try and play the song something like.
Yeah.
Especially the memorable parts that people need to hear. That's the thing, You start the solo the way they expect to hear it. You end the solo the way that people remember it.
Yeah.
And the bit in the middle, do whatever you like. That's always been my kind of thing. And I still do that with Wishbone Ash. The classic songs like "The King Will Come." The solo in that starts with the wah wah. Well, it's pretty much all wah wah actually, but there's certain lines that you put in, the bits in between. You've got to improvise. Otherwise, if you play the solo the same every night, it's going to be boring for us, then boring for the audience.
Yeah. So we're back. You're playing in Scooby. You're at Academy Sound. Then I kind of move on, and my career takes me somewhere else. And then you sort of move on as well. But you end up with a guitar shop.
I did.
Of your own.
I did. And it was really cool. I'd worked in guitar stores then for other people, maybe 15, 16 years. And I just felt like if I didn't have a go at doing it for myself then, I probably never would, And it was good. I had some really good years there. I really enjoyed it. I was probably the worst boss I ever had. But it was fun. I loved it. I loved learning the business side of it rather than just selling to people, which I love that as well. But no, it was probably one of the most interesting times. I was, when it all finished for me. I mean, I was in Wishbone by the time I closed the store, but the industry was showing signs of it was getting harder and harder, basically for smaller independent stores. And I think I closed at the right time for me. Anyway, but I enjoyed it. No regrets about doing it for myself at all. For I think 9 years I did. So yeah,
which is quite a stint. Sorry, Jason.
I was going to say, what products did you sell? Which brands?
It was a guitar store, really, but I had some good brands. I had electric wise. I was doing PRS, the SE, PRS, the Korean. I was doing a lot of cork guitars, Takamine, Yamaha, Schecter, ESP. I was doing Black Star amps, which was a great line. Great products, great amps. And they were the kind of the big ones. I was doing a lot of used equipment. That's what I really wanted to do more than anything. I always felt you walk into one of the chain stores, you see all the same things on the wall. You walk past, you see the same Strat, you see the same Schecter, same Ibanez, whatever, which are all great. But I want to see really tasty, nice used guitars when I go in. Maybe some old guitars,
Yeah.
So that's what interested me more than having a wall full of shiny new Schecters.
and it's funny because you said Schecter and you said ESP and you said Black Star, and was there quite because the store was at Castleford, wasn't it? So
yes.
Is there quite a rock stroke metal scene? Because I know Bradford's got a very strong rock and metal scene. Was it similar for you, or was it a mix?
It's a very similar area, I'd say, actually.
Yeah.
A couple of really good rock pubs in Castleford that have bands on 3-4 nights a week, and I knew from playing those with Scooby actually for years and years, and turning up there on open mic nights. I knew a lot of the kids that were going in. I knew the kind of music they were playing, so that basically helped me choose the brands that I'd stock in that area, because I kind of saw what the kids wanted, really, I suppose. There's the other guitar store in Castleford where I worked for 7 years. They were more an old school type store, so they had some Fenders and then bits of more old school kind of for the older guys, I'd say. Maybe some the odd Ibanez, but I think Schecter and ESP especially were really happening guitars at the time, and same with Black Star amps. They were massive, great.
A few years ago, I think it was the Guardian, the might have been the Observer, the Sunday Guardian, did a breakdown of the UK by genre of music, and given that I'm from Birmingham, I was hugely disappointed to find out that Birmingham is no longer the home of heavy metal. South Yorkshire is the home of heavy metal. It was the most popular music in that area.
Well, there's so many bands in South Yorkshire, so many venues. There's the workingman club scene, especially in South Yorkshire, is huge. Bands will every weekend usually be down from the northeast playing around South Yorkshire, Rotherham, Sheffield, Barnsley. It's a real good rock band scene, actually.
It's probably the last place in the country that really has got a vibrant working men's club scene, actually. You know, because I mean, I did a stint of playing around there, and you know, we were able to play 2 or 3 times a week, and it was pretty much all South Yorkshire.
Yeah,
and there's still some really big venues as well that still, like you say, will still take a 5 and a 6 piece band and still pay, you know, 1,500 quid or what have you for a Saturday night.
Yeah,
which makes it worthwhile. And it seems strange coming down from the northeast, because in reality, you would think the northeast would have the most vibrant scene, and actually it died off quite a lot.
It did, but they still have a good scene up there. The clubs are much bigger up there, actually. And they still get packed out if there's a good rock band on. But yeah, South Yorkshire, there's clubs everywhere. You know, they are slowly closing, unfortunately. But the good ones and the big ones, they're still there doing it. You know.
So you moved on from Scooby. So, and I'm assuming this is while you'd got the guitar shop, and played in a band called Coyote.
Coyote, yeah, that was a band that played the club circuit around South Yorkshire mainly. We did the northeast. We'd go south as well. We went down to Leicester occasionally, even, and then that's when we. Quite fortunately, actually, Stuart, the singer, whilst away on holiday in Corfu, randomly met Ron Tal, Bumblefoot.
Yes, yeah, we've had Ron on the podcast.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. And he ended up singing with Ron, and he still does. Occasionally, they go to Thailand every year. They do bits around Greece, and we ended up doing a little tour, just a few UK dates with Ron and his band. And also Saxon. So the Coyote, my band, went on first. Then Oliver Dawson, Saxon, and then Ron Tal finished the night with playing his widdly awesome monster player.
Yeah, he came in. I teach, and you went to Leeds College, didn't you, to do music?
Yeah.
Well, I teach for BIM in Birmingham, so it's sort of like a equivalent sort of thing. And Ron came and did the guitar show for me. And then he came into BIM and played with the students, which was amazing. But I was there while we were sound checking, and I was just shouting songs out at him while he was sound checking. He can play literally anything.
It's just a walking jukebox.
Yeah, it's just insane.
Yeah.
Well, I know that because he obviously knows plenty of Rocky Horror, so that's all.
Yes. Yes,
that was all I was bothered about. But,
right.
Which just, do you know what? Middle age. I just thought of a question to ask it, and I've just I know what it was going to be. It wasn't a question. It was going to be a comment. I was going to ask Mark what is in that tumbler that he keeps taking a swig out of, because you might be the most rock and roll guest we've had so far.
Well, it's a very, very nice single malt Scotch.
See, that is the most rock and roll we've had so far. Would you believe we're doing
6:30, right?
Yeah,
6:30. What do you expect?
We're doing a guitar podcast. I'm on tea, and I don't think we've had any of our guests drinking so far, have we?
No.
Did we have a beer one night? Did me and you have a beer one night?
We did have a beer one night. I think
That's
it was at the height of summer.
Yeah, that's the most we've got.
A single beer each.
Wow,
you're the most rock and roll guest so far.
That's great.
Well, particularly in that shirt.
Good to know. Thank you. This is just normal Tuesday night attire on a
Is
Thursday.
Is that your Thursday night attire?
Yeah.
It's got a certain whiff of the curtain about it.
It's certainly got a whiff.
So you're doing the Coyote thing. Was that covers or was that original stuff?
That was all covers.
That was all covers. Yeah.
All covers. Classic rock, you know.
Yeah. So yeah. That's cool. So I'm kind of merging topics as I go along a bit here, because the other thing that had hit your life at that point, because I went a couple of times with you, was you started working with a guitar builder in Leeds, didn't you?
I did.
Dennis
Elvidge, yeah. Yeah, he built me a couple of guitars early, maybe 2002, and then again in 2004, 2005. And they were based on the guitar that Mark Knopfler played with Dire Straits. So a kind of Penza Sir lookalike guitar, but with my own kind of appointments, I guess. And he's still a great friend. I've got 5 of his guitars now, and I actually used them live on stage with Wishbone quite a lot. And a great friend and a very talented luthier.
Yeah.
He's retired now, unfortunately, so he won't look at my guitars anymore. He's not interested in setting them up anymore. But yeah, absolute legend.
Because I can remember we were in an academy and people would come in and you'd do setups on guitars, but you took your guitar somewhere else.
To Dennis Elvidge, yeah.
So there's kind of a natural hierarchy in it. And I remember going and taking a couple of things to Dennis over the years and dropping in. And he was just, does he still smoke a pipe?
He stopped smoking the pipe.
Yeah.
I used to love it when he did that. The smell.
Yeah.
In fact, when he built the first 2 custom guitars for me, the smell of the pipe was on the guitars for maybe a year afterwards. After picking them up, and I loved that. I'll never forget the smell. I loved the smell, and I used to love it going around there. Yeah. Honestly,
he was a real gentle man, wasn't he? He was
but a character
soul.
too.
Oh yeah,
absolute character. Yeah, I hope he hears this.
Well, we'll have to make sure we let him know. But no, I mean, because the guitar that is with the kind of the really beautiful top was very similar to the Pentasure that Knopfler played in the Nelson Mandela concert, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, that's the first guitar that Dennis built for me.
Yeah,
a very similar colour, very similar guitar, really.
Yeah,
and then I ended up having 2 of those, and then I started using more recently the chambered sculptured guitars that he made. I don't know if you ever saw those with the silly. I have one here with the holes.
Yeah,
Check that out.
That's fantastic.
They're amazing guitars. I have 2 of these as well. And with Wishbone Ash, there's a song called Phoenix, which is it's a 50-year-old song from the first album, and it's mainly guitar. It's mainly instrumental guitar, like kind of mad psychedelic whatever. So the main thing I would play that guitar on with Wishbone would be Phoenix. I have a green one, and that's the one I've used live most. And the fans actually nicknamed it the Mean Green Phoenix Machine when I first used it in 2017. So 2018, I actually commissioned some miniature models of that guitar, and we were selling them on merchandise. Really popular. All the fans love to have them, which is great. So, I presented one to Dennis. Actually, he's got it on his wall with the real ones.
He was a lovely bloke. So we're going to have to delve into the Wishbone thing then, in terms of, you're a fan of the band, great, and you've obviously played the material, but at some point you have to have an interaction with the band. At what point did they first know that you existed?
Well, I first met them in probably 95, 96.
Wow.
95, 96. They probably first knew about me playing guitar because I was in a Wishbone Ash tribute band, and we played one of the annual Wishbone Ash fan conventions. We did a short set there in the afternoon playing Wishbone Ash songs. That was 2002. And that's when I suppose I started my friendship with Andy Powell, the original member, the other guitar player and singer. So probably from then onwards, I would say we stayed friends. We always stayed in touch, and if they were playing in town, Andy would call me up and say, "Can you bring these strings? Can you help us out with an amp? Can you do this? Can you solder a new switch in my guitar?" So that's kind of went on for years, and then we kind of, the friendship kind of grew, I suppose. And early 2017, Wishbone were playing some shows in the UK, and I went along to a show in Sheffield, and we just had a really good, how can I say it, drink after the show. One thing led to another, I suppose, from that night, and few months later, I did my first show with them.
So that was in Sweden at the festival.
The Sweden Rock Fest. What a first show! It's the biggest rock festival in Europe, I believe. Aerosmith were headlining. I only got together with the guys. In fact, they'd never actually heard me play, apart from videos on YouTube or whatever. We'd never played together. They'd never heard me. We got together 2 days before in London,
Christ.
just for we had a short rehearsal at a place down there. We had a couple of afternoons, and then the following day we flew to Sweden and did the gig at Sweden Rock. So that's cool. And then we had we did a few more festivals that summer, and then the final festival that year was in Switzerland, and we flew straight from Switzerland to the US to start a month-long tour, which was just awesome. First time I'd been to America there, playing to American Wishbone Ash fans, playing my favourite music. It's what better.
And did you how did the opportunity come about in terms of, had there been a guitarist there that had left? How had they been operating prior to you joining?
Well, the guitar player that was in the band, a friend of mine as well, actually. I don't quite know what was going on there. I think there was a sense of him possibly not being as happy as he was there, maybe looking to do something else. I don't know. So the evening in Sheffield was probably just really good timing for me. Right place, right time, I think.
Cool. And you've kind of cemented a place very quickly, haven't you, in terms of looking at the imagery, looking at the way the Wishbone Ash website. I mean, am I right in saying you've co-wrote some of the material on the new album?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we, myself and Andy and his son, actually, we got together in France. We spent 2 or 3 weeks there. Between us, we wrote most of the album there. I took with me maybe ideas, not songs, but ideas for maybe 4 or 5 at least songs that made it onto the new album Coat of Arms, and I'm really proud of that. It's really cool.
Yeah, because that's fair. Not saying it's fairly unusual, but I mean, to join the band, but also then to be very much involved in the creative process is fair. It is fairly unique.
I suppose it is, but I guess with a new lineup, there's going to be hopefully a new album.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to the music for so long that I don't really need to try and play in that style. It's just kind of became my style naturally, I guess. So, I know all the old albums. I love most of it. And it's quite a natural thing to play that way. So if I come up with a riff, it's usually inspired by that anyway. So.
Yeah. And I mean, as I say, 2017. So we're 3 years in. Does it feel like longer? Does it feel like you've kind of all?
It's flown by. It's gone really fast. I mean, this lockdown seems to take longer than the 3 years I've had with Wishbone. No, it's gone so quick. We never really stop. That's the thing. It's a live band, and we never stop touring. I mean, last year we played in 18 or 19 countries. We did a rock cruise. It was just non-stop. It's almost like this year I'm being punished for last year. That's how I see it.
You had far too good a time.
Too much fun.
Yeah.
So what's your biggest territory when you go out?
Well, Europe is a big one. We do every January starts in Germany. We'll do lots of shows around Germany. Then we'll head out of Germany into Switzerland. Last year we went into Scandinavia. We got caught in the snow there, and so Europe is big. We play at least one USA tour in a year usually. We'll do the kind of north, the west. And then most recently this year we did, actually in February this year, our last tour we started in Florida, and then we ended up in Seattle. So that's quite a
jaunt.
That's an area,
Yeah.
all by road.
Ooh.
Well. Yeah, but I mean, last year took us everywhere. I think we played shows in France, UK, of course. We did South Africa. We did Japan, which was amazing. We've been to Canada, all within the space of 12 months,
No, but you can't believe it. Working men's club circuit in South Yorkshire.
I know, that's why I can't smile enough, Cheers.
As he takes another slug. We're in the wrong game here, Jack. I mean, my tea's tasting awful now. It really is. As I watch Mark drink single malt scotch. So, you've kind of hit two heights, haven't you, really? For so many people listening to this, you've had your own music store, your own guitar store. I mean, I guess three in terms of the fact that you've always played, you've always gigged, but now you've listening to where you've been going and where you've been touring, and the fact that it sounds like the band aren't going to stop anytime soon. You've kind of hit nirvana, really.
Absolutely, I'm travelling. I'm seeing parts of the world I would never have seen. That's another side of it, I'm now a part of my favourite band, which is the reason I learnt to play guitar in the first place. And I've got the most amazing friends there, and I love it. What's not to love? I'm just so lucky. And it's times like this when you realise just how lucky. You stop and you look back at what you've been doing for 3 years, and that's when you realise how amazing it's all been.
So, then flipping it a little bit, you've also started doing some remote session work. You've been offering your services up.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I'd thought about doing that before lockdown. It's like something to do while I'm home.
Yeah.
I might be home for a month, 6 weeks. It'd be nice to have something to do. I'm set up here with the Kemper and all the software I need. Why not? It's interesting. It's something different to do while I'm not working with Wishbone. So, when the lockdown thing started, I thought, right, it's probably time to put that out there a little bit. And it's all right. I've had a few little jobs. I've a few things to do in November, so it's good. It would never replace for me playing live.
No,
but it's interesting. That's the thing. You never know what somebody's going to ask you to try and do.
And what is your history of that kind of work then? Because obviously, playing in Scooby and Coyote, and then in the tribute band, that's obviously a lot of live work. But then you find yourself playing on the last Wishbone Ash album. How much studio experience have you had over the years?
To be perfectly honest, not a lot really.
Yeah.
I mean, like all the young bands, we went in a studio, we did demos of original songs, and that was pretty much it for years and years.
Yeah.
It was very much a live thing. With Coyote, we went in the studio, we recorded a few covers basically as a thing, and then when we did the writing sessions for the new Wishbone album, we did that in a kind of, it was not really a studio environment. We sat around, played live, but there was a studio there connected to where we were, so we were recording demos while we were doing that, and then obviously we recorded the main album in a studio in Burnley, and other than that, home recording really. That's it really.
So, which again is quite an amazing thing to go from fairly limited. I mean, if because I'm looking at the album cover or the album on your back wall, and to kind of be going, well, that's kind of the first real project I really did was this, and it's like, oh, fuck off, really. Just what do you say about that, really? I mean, I've got loads of demo recordings; they're all still awful. But
I guess I'm lucky that Wishbone they've been making albums for 50 years. Or Andy has at least, and Bob the bass player's been on countless recordings with countless people.
Yeah,
and so I kind of walked into a band of very seasoned studio musicians. So that for me made it much easier, I suppose.
Cool. And how have the Wishbone Ash family taken to you? By that I mean the fans, because obviously it will have a hard core of fans who have followed the band for the vast majority of its time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, it was just amazingly perfect for me, really. I suppose they seemed to like me from the start, and I definitely loved them from the start. And many of them I knew, actually, especially in the UK, because I've been going to the annual fan convention for the last probably 10, 15 years. People travel there from various countries. So I've met a lot of the fans. Not all of them, but, lots of them. And I think they took to my style of playing straight away, because it's probably obvious that I've been listening to Wishbone Ash for a long, long time. And being a fan, I want to really do justice to the older classic songs that the fans love to hear, and I love to play. I love to hear it too. So, it's just a thing. Like we said, I'll try and play the parts that the fans want to hear.
Yeah, and
hopefully keep it interesting at the same time, keep it fresh, keep it new, but give them what they want. That's how I see it.
So we'll digress just slightly, because I know you'll have an answer to this. When we haven't done this for a little while, but we went through a little phase of asking our guests what their favourite Carry On film was.
Oh.
And I, knowing you as I do, I'm sure you'll have an answer to that question.
Of course. What's yours?
Did we actually pick one, or did we end up with 5?
Well,
no, we both went with Screaming,
mine.
didn't we? We both went with
Screaming.
No, you didn't go with Screaming. You kind of and ahed around Cowboy and...
Oh, I did about Cowboy as well. I quite like Cowboy.
Well, I'm with you on Cowboy, but Screaming, no Sid James, so I can't...
I know. I mean, that is the sad part about that film, but it is actually...
I believe they got Harry H. Corbett
to
play the Sid James role.
The Sid James role, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I would say Convenience.
Oh, first time we've had that.
The old toilet factory, Mr. Boggs.
Mr. Boggs, yeah. Yeah. That is unusual.
Really?
Yeah, nobody's had that so far.
I'd say Convenience, or maybe Abroad. Carry On Abroad is a classic. But
that's a later one, isn't it?
Very late, Abroad. I think that's maybe the last one. Well, it was certainly the last one with Charles Hawtrey.
Right.
And I think possibly the last one with Sid. I'm not sure.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely one of the later ones.
I knew you'd have an answer. I didn't think you'd give us Convenience and Abroad.
In fact, I only a few days ago I had a conversation saying if I had to go and mastermind, Carry On films would definitely be my chosen specialised subject. Well,
in which case we're going to have to end the Carry On question with this episode then, because if we've had the bona fide guitar-based Carry On master, then there's no point going any further, is there really? But no, listen, you've not disappointed. Carry On Abroad and Carry On Convenience are two very... That's almost a purist's son.
Yeah, Cowboy's up there, and I believe Cowboy was actually Sid James's favourite Carry On film.
Right.
And he took a lot of pleasure in learning the how to handle the gun properly and spinning the pistols and things, and he loved it. Yeah.
I didn't really. Have you seen any of the kind of documentaries and things there? Because there was a very good documentary made about Hattie Jacques, wasn't there?
Yes.
Which was very good, and there are a couple of very good films about Kenneth Williams.
Yes, which excellent actually. Yeah.
Quite dark actually as well. But then he had a very troubled existence, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Unfortunately.
All right, so we can add that. We can chalk that up, Jace, then on our Top Gear type, list.
Yeah, one of those. Awesome.
Yeah. I'll send you a picture. And then the other question that we asked a few times that we ought to resurrect because I quite liked. Dinner guests. You can have dinner with it 3 people or 4?
3.
3 guests for dinner. Okay. Anywhere through history.
Right.
So alive or dead.
Okay. Well, I would, without a doubt, Sid James would be at my table.
Right.
just for the laugh, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think I would have loved to meet and have a drink with Stevie Ray Vaughan. So have a guitar as a guitar player, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yep.
And wow, who else? I should probably choose a woman, right, to mix it up a bit. But
Entirely up to you.
No, you don't have to.
I mean, Marilyn Monroe's been mentioned a few times.
Yes, Marilyn's
no, I don't think so. No. Maybe if it was all guys, Sid James would behave worse. So I think.
Be a hell of a night, though, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I really don't know. A good drinker. Who's a good drinker?
Oh, I don't know.
Oliver
Peter
Reed.
Sellers. Oliver Reed.
Yeah, maybe.
George Best.
George Best. Why not?
George Best was a fairly good drinker.
Best. Yeah. What instrument did he play?
I don't think it really mattered, did it?
Miss World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, George Best. That's a good one. Yeah, I'll go
George Best. So George Best, Sid James,
and Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's
right. Okay, that's a night, isn't it?
That's a night not to forget, isn't it?
That's a bender, isn't it? It's not really a dinner. It's just a bender. I mean, nobody's eating, are they?
Plenty of pipe smoking from Sid.
Oh yes. Oh, just imagine that cackle in the background. Oh, fantastic. So, what are plans then? What are I mean, assuming that we can break out, what is it? Is it? Does the touring get switched back on pretty much as soon as you can?
Well, as far as I know, that's the plan. You know, we trying to keep everything as was, I guess, until we have to. I heard recently the January tour is most likely going to be off at the moment. After that, I don't know. You know, we're supposed to have a tour booked in February in the US. Whether that happens or not at the moment, I don't know. They're
still doing gigs in the US, aren't they? Because I keep seeing the odd one pop up on Facebook. I don't know if they're doing them socially distanced or the certain states are allowing them. But
right, yeah. I mean, whether there's enough of those to make a tour, you know, we generally go there for a month, and that it has to work as an entirety, I guess, to make the thing viable. That's the problem, as well as travel, of course. You know, we've got to get there. Well, two of us have got to get there. Two of the band live in America anyway, so.
And what about? Because I was going to say parts of Europe are gigging, aren't they? We had Ainsley Lister on fairly recently, and he was going to Germany, wasn't? Did we find out how Ainsley got on? Actually,
no, but I follow him on I don't know, one of the social media channels. Can't remember which one. And there were pictures of him playing on stage and stuff. So it definitely happened, or some of them definitely happened.
Right. I guess it's for us, especially we all live in totally separate areas.
Yeah.
So to get together alone is a big thing. But then there's a thing where I suppose if the venues are running at a third capacity, is it a viable thing? I don't know. I'd like to think it was, and I'd like to be out there doing it as soon as, but who knows? You know, as soon as we can, we will. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Because it sounds like it's very organised, and you know the infrastructure is there that you can probably turn it back on fairly quickly at the point when it's safe to do so.
I would expect so. Yeah. I mean, I know that tours are booked, tours have been planned for the future. You know, it's whether it's down to whether we can. But at the moment, who can answer that? You know, I can't answer that.
And did you complete touring for the album? Because the album was last year, wasn't it?
No, we released the album this year.
Oh, right, okay.
We wrote the album last year.
Right.
And recorded it. And the album was released in February this year. We were actually on tour.
So you would have been touring the album then?
We would have been touring the album.
Yeah, you've not completed touring the album.
We would have been on the 50th anniversary tour.
Now.
Right now.
Yeah.
And playing songs from a new album, you know.
Yeah.
We did the single, or the kind of, if you can call it single, the lead track from the album We Stand As One. We did get to play live on the last UK tour this time last year, and we played it this year in Germany and Europe, and then in America. But so far, that's the only track we've managed to play live.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, yeah, you don't even think about that, do you? You don't think about it because, you know, that thing of getting to play 50-60% of a new album on the road is because often on for a lot of bands they'll go and they'll play maybe 6-7 tracks off a new album, and that might be the only time that 3 or 4 of those tracks ever get played.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if I see us playing 7 songs from a new album, because the fans are pretty diehard, and I mean it would be nice. I think maybe we'd do a couple of tracks from the new album. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to play in anywhere at the moment. It'd be nice to play anywhere, play anything,
Yeah. And has the band done any kind of virtual stuff? Have they done any kind of, these kind of link calls or what have you, where you've tried to?
We haven't as yet. No.
Well, we can't have done. It's your first Zoom call, isn't it? You said
it's my first. This is my
first ever Zoom call, so you can't have done anything.
Whether it would work with us playing 2 guitars trying to play together, I expect there's some kind of latency issue with that.
There is, yeah.
Yeah. You can only do it as a recording, I think. You can only do it as a kind of with a sync, and then actually somebody mixes it back.
Right. Yeah, I think to try and do it where 2 or 3 of us play together would be a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. Particularly, like I say, particularly with what you do.
Yeah, it's very much a twin lead sound.
Well, I'm hoping you manage to get out as soon as you possibly can. I mean, obviously, we're all hoping that we can get out and see some music as soon as we possibly can. So
we're all positive, We're all staying. We're all positive.
It'll happen.
We're just hanging in there,
It'll happen. And of course, you'll end up down the road from me, won't you? You'll end up playing the picture drone.
Home Firth. Yeah. We'll be there.
Yeah. So which is a great venue.
It is. We always sell that one out. Actually, we always look forward to playing Home Firth. It's a great gig.
Yeah.
In fact, someone just sent me some live recordings from last year when we played there, and it sounds really great actually.
Oh, it's a proper little old-fashioned sweatbox of a venue. It really is. It's
a cinema, is it? Is it not?
Yeah. I mean, originally, I don't know the last time. I think they can still. I don't know if they still can show films there for no other reason than it's the ball ache of putting the chairs back.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, I saw, of all people, you'd appreciate this. I went to see an evening with Barry Norman there.
Really? Wow.
Where he showed clips of his favourite movies.
Awesome.
And that was a real kind of intimate little thing. But the venue's changed a little more since then. It's become quite a fairly, not seedy rock, but it's definitely a great little rock venue.
It's a great venue. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect size. It's a little bit Rock City-esque actually.
It's kind of made for it as well. It's got the sloped floor still from the cinema, and wherever you stand you can see, and the sound's always good. I've seen bands there so many times. It's a great venue.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the rock bands play there. I mean, it's on Magnums. They come round about once every 3 weeks.
Right.
That they're there.
Even Robert Cray played there.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he's pulled in some. I think as well, it's one of the venues on the circuit that's fairly. It makes sense to play financially as well. I think it's a relatively good setup financially. So I think but it's a venue bands can make money out when they play as well.
I expect so.
Which is always helpful.
It's always busy. It sells out. It's in the middle of nowhere, and people just seem to like travelling there to see a band. It just works.
Well, the thing about Home Firth is, particularly if you're coming on stage at 9, it's a nice place to go and grab a bite to eat. It's easy to. There's plenty of parking. It's easy to park. Plenty of great places to eat. And it's not anywhere you're going to get any kind of trouble. So if and there's places you go for a drink afterwards as well. So it's just a good. For kind of, us middle-aged people, it's quite. You think you're still a bit rock and roll. You're not at all. But it feels a little bit like it. At the point of somebody saying, "Oh, tell you what, why don't you go go and watch a gig in central Manchester?" It's like, "Oh no, I really can't be arsed."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really can't be arsed.
It's so not that.
It's so not that at all. Where you don't know if you're going to get stabbed or, well, I suppose in Manchester at the moment, you don't know whether you're going to get COVID. But
yeah, well done on alienating the people in Manchester.
Do we have any listeners from Manchester?
No. Oh, I forgot to mention to you. We mentioned that there was 5 or 6 listeners in Canada.
Yeah.
The other week, I got a message on Facebook that said I'm one of the listeners in Canada.
Oh. That it? I'm just one of the listeners in Canada.
He was out for a walk listening to it. He's actually British. He moved to Canada 12 years ago.
Right.
So, hello.
Hello. Did you get a name?
Oh, it's on my phone somewhere.
Oh, you're not very good at this, are you?
Honestly, I've been so rushed off my feet today.
You're supposed to give me a shout out and everything.
And what's their favourite Carry On film? That's right.
Yes, exactly. That's it. In fact, you know what? If you're listening to this, as we've now had the king of Carry On, can we have anybody who's listening? Let's have your votes in for favourite Carry On. And do we agree with Abroad and Convenience, which are two left field but very worthy choices?
Very left field. But don't get me wrong, I do enjoy them. There's just no frying tonight from Screaming. I'm just looking for his name.
I know you are.
Yeah, Craig Lawton.
Craig Lawton.
Oh, Craig. I know Craig.
He says he doesn't know Keith Scott.
Excellent. Do you know Keith Scott? Mark, do you know Keith Scott?
Keith Scott?
Yeah, Bryan Adams' guitarist.
I don't know him personally, but I once sold him an amp, actually.
Was it a White Marshall by any chance?
The White Marshall Bluesbreaker. I used that with Scooby for years.
Yeah.
And I sold it through John Henry's company in London.
Yeah.
Supposedly for that tour when they used all the white amps and everything. Yeah. So I gather that's where it ended up.
Yeah, they did. They Brian and him bought up a load of white amps, a load of White Marshalls, didn't they? Yeah,
it was a Bluesbreaker, one of the combos.
Yeah. Oh dear. So we've got a link, but you don't know. But you can't.
I don't know. No.
I have messaged him on Instagram, but he hasn't come back to me yet.
Right. Okay. Right. So we're tantalisingly close. We're trying to get Keith Scott on because we both think he's a great guitarist. And we'd kind of like to get Keith Scott on the podcast.
And now we've got Craig in Canada. It's a relatively small country. He's bound to bump into him.
Yeah, he's bound to. Craig, do your stuff, Craig. Two things we need from you, Craig, is we need Keith Scott's contact details, and we need to know what your favourite Carry On film is. And if you can send us that through before we record next time, then we're about done. Really. And then what we will do, maybe as a Christmas special, we ought to get previous guests on for a Carry On mastermind. So Mark, you'll be back on.
Excellent.
For the Carry On mastermind as the Christmas special.
I can't imagine Phil X or Bumblefoot having a clue what we're talking about.
I don't think either of them had a clue what we're talking about when they were on the podcast. Ron did. Ron was on top form.
Was he?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That was first week of lockdown, wasn't it? Pretty much.
It pretty much was. Yeah. He was locked down in New Jersey, so we did it late at night, didn't we?
We did do it late at night.
And
Ron has an excellent hot sauce. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, Bumblefoot.
It does the hot sauces. They're really great. He gave me a couple of bottles when we did the shows together. Really nice.
Yeah, I
love that stuff.
We went out for a curry when he came over and did the guitar show. He had a really hot curry, and then he put his own hot sauce in the curry.
Legend. Awesome.
On that, I think I suggest we leave it for the evening, gents. Mark, it's been a pleasure. It's been lovely to see you again.
Great to see you too, mate. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, it's all right. We'll try and grab a brew or something. As soon as we can, we are allowed to...
You're in Tier 3 now, aren't you?
I'm not. No, not yet.
We're not yet either.
But it's going to be about a week or so.
It's coming. Yeah,
definitely. That blonde-haired idiot's going to pop us into Tier 3 at some point. So... so it's not going to be long. So when we get out the other end, we'll try and find time for a.
Show us your cuppa.
Show us your cuppa. Yeah, still doing that. Still nobody else taking me up on it, but still doing it. But,
did I cup shame you last week?
You might well have done. Cup shame you.
I know that cup. That's Genware. Do you remember that?
Yes, you did cup shame me. Yes, you did. Yeah, that was the most random thing. I put a picture of a drink on social media with my little "show us your cuppa" hashtag, and Mark came back and said, "Oh yes, I know the brand of cup that you're drinking."
My favourite brand.
I was like, "How do you know that?" So it was just one of those moments. But yes, right. Jace, absolutely lovely to speak to you. Mark, a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Yeah, you too, Jace. Thank you very much, mate.
It's been absolutely great. And,
my pleasure. Thank you.
And I guess I'll see both of you as soon as is possible.
Yeah, we did think we were going to get a drink, but
that's not going to happen, is it?
No, we could be a year before we actually get together, couldn't we?
I know. We might have broken up by then. We might have had artistic differences and never speak to each other again. It's entirely possible.
Let's hope so, eh?
Well, we live in hope. Anyway, thanks, gents. Everyone have a good evening. Thanks for listening, folks. And please send us in your favourite Carry On films. It would be lovely to. And if anybody knows Keith Scott, of course, we need to get that sorted, don't we? Because didn't we say we were going to do that for what number?
25.
And what's this one?
21.
Oh, bloody hell!
Possibly.
Ooh, getting close.
I know, I might have to message him again with a "Oi, mate."
Yeah. Do you not know we're nearly at 25 podcasts, Scott? Put your finger out. And
I've bought loads of your albums. It's the least you can do for me.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but how many times have I had to listen to that bloody song from Robin Hood? Come on, it's about time you put some effort in. But there we are. Right, that's great. Everybody take care. We will speak to you all very soon.
Cheers.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks for listening to 9 to 42, the podcast from the team at the Guitar Show UK. If you've enjoyed the show, then please remember to hit the subscribe button and share with other like-minded souls. For more information about 9 to 42, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram at the Guitar Show UK. This has been an A Short Stories production.